You know, we all make mistakes. Plenty of times we have all created bloopers in our lives, our written word, or our public speaking. Sometimes the details get away from us, or we get an idea that we have to work too hard to sell. In fact, I'm sure our video editor could find a few of my best bloopers, but it would take quite a while to get through all of them for the best offerings. I often make mistakes. But you have to tell the truth. Beep, beep, beep. Details slip into existence. One more time, I cannot say that. Slip into existence. Sounds like I'm drunk. I'm not. Instead of mentioning, boogers. Or if you, admissions readers become very Don't allow the focus of admissions committee. One more time. The admissions committee. Please like this video or subscribe. Unfortunately, college applications are not the place to let those details slip into existence. When it comes to college applications, you have one opportunity to gain the favorable attention of the selection committee. Hi, I'm Margaret Meek, and this is Bloopers in College Applications. Please remember that mistakes are where we learn, and that not every application with an error in it will be rejected. But with those words said, there are ways to avoid bloopers. It takes time, focus, and a willingness to make changes. Some of these bloopers are foreseeable. Some result from hubris or the opposite, being too self-deprecating, and some result from not being careful enough. Remember that everything you put in or on your application is fair game for being reviewed in the application process. Everything goes into building the picture of who you are and what you have to offer that college. Here's an easy one. Don't use an email address like rainbowsandlollipopsforever@domain.com or sexyfootballplayer@domain.com. And these are the PG-13 versions of what admissions officers have seen. If you want to keep your email address or handle for your social media accounts, that's a decision you get to make. However, we strongly recommend that you get an address you can use for professional and work applications, communicating with your instructors, and any other situation in which being a sexy football player is not to your advantage. Turn in your application well before the deadline. A college admissions officer once told us the story of the application portal being so crowded in the last minutes before the deadline that many applications were not submitted on time and were not considered. And the chances of more gaffes being included in your application because of time pressure is high. Trick your mind, create a personal deadline well before the school's date and time. Do not miss the deadline. There is no coming back from that blooper. Another mistake that is easy to see coming is hitting submit before your application is complete. If you complete your application in waves, it is possible to miss a response or to not fully complete an answer. Don't trip over yourself. Make sure all required elements are completed on your application before you hit submit. One last note on issues that will come back to bite you if you don't think the process all the way through. Tell your counselors and those who write recommendations for you where you are applying so there are no surprises if the college contacts them. So the blunders of undercutting yourself or having extreme hubris are more common than most of you would believe. For example, I am going to be the best student your college has ever had, or I will be a student at ABC College because I know you can see how special I am. Granted, most of the time the bragging isn't quite that blatant, but the reality is that students do come pretty darn close. If you tell the admissions committee that you are the best leader, student, or anything, be careful. Will you sound too good to be true? Will your activities and transcripts back up what your essay is stating? It's a big mistake if everything does not add up. And even if it does, your need to be the most important person can become a big red flashing light. The other side of this coin is something that isn't as easy to identify as you are writing and proofing your work. This is when you undercut yourself, the I'm not special focus. speaking about being an okay student, never fitting in with the other students in an organization, or even writing about how you haven't accomplished as much as you had wished can be flashing red lights. Don't cut yourself short. Speak out about what you have done instead of being too humble or self-deprecating. Remember, your responses, all of them on your applications, need to tell the story of who you are and what you have to offer the college. But you have to tell the truth and tell your story in a way that helps the reader recognize who you are and what you see as your future. So if you are the best student, your grades and class rank will tell that story. You don't have to. Or if you had a rough time getting on track academically, but finally turned it around, don't talk about the grades being bad at one time. Instead, tell the story of why it became necessary to you to do better. Write about something they can't read about in the other components of your application. If you want to put the readers to sleep, cause them to get distracted from your candidacy, or if you just want to be a pain, make sure you repeat the same things 6 or 7 times in your applications. I kid because I care. But that is precisely what happens when you list your activities, talk about your activities in your short answer responses, mention them all again in your essay, and then in your supplemental essay. You get the picture. Instead of mentioning that you were National Honor Society president in each answer, speak about who you are and what has caused you to become what you are today or led you to decide what you want to be. No matter what, be sure to tell the admissions committee exactly what you think they want to hear. Hide information about yourself and instead spin tales that will make you sound as if you completely fit in with your image of that college. Nope. Again, don't do that. You honestly have no idea what the reader is looking for. You really don't know what is important to the admissions committee in the moment they read your application. And this approach is very transparent as an attempt to avoid sharing information about the authentic you. So after those last 2 examples, I should probably mention that while you don't have to avoid the use of humor, in fact, it can be helpful to tell your story, you can't only use humor. You have to make sure your humor moves the story forward and doesn't become a distraction. Other quick blunders that come from not being careful enough that are common include name dropping. Your cousin's uncle's hairdresser's neighbor may have attended that school, but that has nothing to do with whether or not you will be selected to attend. That includes close family members. They are building a class for the future, not for the school's past. Avoid using common or even trite phrases, even if they are popular in the school's athletic realm, the current meme world, or popular culture. Be original. Don't tell the committee that this is the only school you are applying to. They're under no obligation to save you from your own poor planning. Make sure you don't use the name of another school you're applying to anywhere in your application. When using an application broker like the Common App, don't leave another school's name in your application to a second school. I know I can learn a great deal from being a student at ABC College is definitely going to rub College XYZ the wrong way. Be very careful, and on a similar note, write to each school's prompt. Don't just use the same essay over and over again willy-nilly. Never lie about your class rank, grades, employment activities, or other facets of your history or experiences. These embellishments will knock you out of the running. And don't try to stretch your extracurriculars into something they are not. Handing out water at a 5K race is nice, but is it a personal growth experience? Provide only what you are asked to provide. If they ask for 2 references, providing 6 letters of reference does not tell them that you go above and beyond. It tells them you either aren't good at reading instructions or you think that you know better than they do. Neither is a good look. This also goes for not copying and pasting your resume into the additional information block. If completed correctly, the most important of this information will already be reflected in your responses. Proof everything, as minor grammar or spelling errors can become grating by the 20th or 30th or 50th application the reader evaluates. They're there to do their work, not correct your work. Write for yourself. Admissions readers become very adept at identifying AI and parental writing very quickly. Your parents write like they have more life experience than you, just as AI writes as if it has much less life experience than you. Don't get caught letting anyone or anyone else tell your story. This kind of blooper can get you bounced right out of admission. As with any good conversation, don't use words you aren't comfortable with. This is not the time to rely too heavily on a thesaurus. Be natural. And finally, avoid using the word I too frequently. You spend so much time creating your application and trying to make it special. Don't allow the focus of the admissions committee to be diverted into something that isn't in your best interest. Blooper-proof your application to the best of your abilities. The way to make the most of your application is to be careful, be yourself, and try hard not to impress. Just be honest, earnest, and positive about your future. You've got this. Please like this video or subscribe. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below.